Hi, I'm Pav.
And I'm Neil.
And welcome to the Top 10 of Anything podcast.
Let's start the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It was way back in episode 2 we did our top 10 Harrison Ford movies. Arguably one of his greatest roles is swashbuckling archaeologist Henry Jones Jr. After first appearing on our screens back in 1981, we are now preparing for Indy's final quest at the end of June. Adventure has a name, and it's Neil, with 10 Indy facts.
Thank you very much, Pav. So here we go. George Lucas originally didn't want to cast Harrison Ford since he'd already been in 2 of his other movies.
Oh, that was it. We got there in the end.
Tom Selleck was originally offered the role of Indiana, but CBS prevented him from taking the role because of his involvement in Magnum P.I. Spielberg later wrote Selleck a wonderful letter saying Selleck could work for him at any time. The famous Raiders scene in which Indy shoots the Cairo swordsman in the market instead of him fighting him was Harrison Ford's idea. He had food poisoning and had to run back to his trailer every 10 minutes to use the sanitary facilities. Harrison Ford, unlike Indiana Jones, is not afraid of snakes, rats, or bugs. The club owned by the villainous Lao Che in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is called Club Obi-Wan, a nod to Star Wars. The entire conveyor belt scene in Temple of Doom was shot with Harrison Ford's double Vic Armstrong. Ford suffered a serious back injury on set and had to fly back to Los Angeles for 6 weeks to receive treatment. The first time Harrison Ford got on the suspension bridge, he ran from one end to the other. Spielberg, though, was terrified of heights and went only out 40 yards either end. The original idea of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was centered around a haunted castle, but Spielberg had just finished working on Poltergeist and wasn't keen on the idea. When it came to casting Indy's father, Spielberg felt there was only one person who could play his father, and that was James Bond, the original James Bond, the greatest James Bond, of course, Sean Connery. And Harrison Ford thinks the most important part of Indiana Jones' character is his tenacity and his unwillingness to give up.
And his hat, of course.
Yeah.
And his hat. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for the Indiana Jones, top 10 Indiana Jones movie moments. And when we thought swashbuckler, when we thought of adventurer,
Heroes,
there's only one man, the man and the legend, Giles Payley Phillips, is here to join us. And welcome, Giles. How are you?
Hey, team. It's lovely to see you both. Thank you so much for inviting me on. And thank you for that introduction. I was waiting for you to say someone completely different and you couldn't get them. And
Giles, you're a hero in our eyes.
Indeed, man.
You're very sweet.
Adventure has a name, and it's Giles Payley Phillips.
It's a very long, posh name.
Indeed. I feel like Giles Payley Phillips could be like one of Indiana Jones's scholar partners.
Yeah, I'd definitely be the more Delamain Elliott style person.
Yeah, but still takes him out for the odd adventure, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
And you'd have one of those big travel suitcases with GPP stenciled on the...
You'd have to be a big suitcase for that name.
I mean, would.
Or maybe you could be like Marion's Ravenwood's brother or something.
Yeah,
you see, that would work, wouldn't it? A Ravenwood, that would do.
I'd like to be a Ravenwood, but they're a bit, they're a bit odd, aren't they? The Ravens?
Yeah,
they still have their own adventures, don't they? As well,
they do.
Disney Plus are already probably starting on the TV show of that. In fact, I think there was a rumor they were going to do a shoot off called about the Ravenwoods. I think that was a genuine idea they were going to have.
Well, I'm available.
Well,
can I just caveat a little bit the last fact you were saying about Harrison Ford and Sean Connery? Am I right in thinking there wasn't much of an age gap actually between the two?
No, is it like 8 years or something silly like that? I don't
even think it was that. It was something very, it was something that was like mathematically impossible for them in real life to be father and son. But I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it. I mean, the Indiana Jones 3 movies. I don't tend to count The Crystal Skull.
Well, do you know what? I'm just going to say it out now. I didn't count it.
Right. I will say I have got one in my top 10.
Okay.
I've got one indie moment from the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in my top 10. Yeah, it's my number 10.
I thought it had gone, that movie. I didn't think it existed anymore.
No, there's just one moment in it that is like for me. It's like it sums up Indiana Jones. So there was one
Fair
bit,
enough.
but yeah, in regards to what we're going to talk about, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the first 3 movies. But where do you stand, Giles, on your thoughts on Indiana Jones as a character and the trilogy, if you like?
I mean, actually, I'm a big fan of the first 2 movies. Last Crusade, not so much. I think, there's things in it that I think from a film point of view are not quite right, but I think that's just me being like a pedantic film buff. But I think as the first 2 are phenomenal, and obviously heaps of nostalgia, particularly the first one. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark, it can be on any time and I will end up watching it, the entire thing, because it is just so good still.
Yeah.
And I think just because of the full mythology and the storylines and stuff, I think it's way up there as one of the greatest action movies of the time.
Yeah. I mean, Neil, we've already done like movie heroes.
Yeah.
We've done top action films, and Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark has appeared heavily, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And when we did our greatest movies, Raiders of the Lost Ark came in as my number 1 because I think it is a perfect movie. We talk about there's very few movies that are start to finish perfect. I think that one is a perfect movie, and it's just great to have a boy's own adventure. The reminiscent of those old chapter plays that we used to see on a Saturday morning when I was a kid, and I just love it. To me, it hasn't dated one iota at all.
No, but it's old school filmmaking. It's Vic
proper
Armstrong.
stunts.
It's stuntmen getting hurt while doing stunts, and as much practical effects as possible. Very rare, very little visual effects, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, visual effects was just sort of starting in full force there with Star Wars and Raiders and stuff. But yeah,
do you remember the first time you saw it?
I do remember the first time I saw it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Giles.
Yeah. I mean, I was very young. I mean, what was it? 84?
81.
81. Maybe 84 is when I saw it then.
Right,
Maybe
yeah,
a
because
bit
they
later,
did re-release, obviously, before Temple of Doom, and that came out.
Yeah, definitely. So, it must have been around that time, because I mean, 81, I would have only been 4, so I would have been really young to watch it then. So maybe it was around mid-80s. Perhaps it was on. It was definitely on at Christmas. I think that's probably when I saw it for the first time.
Yeah, because my parents took me and some friends from school for my birthday to go and see it. And I can remember that one of my friends like dropped his popcorn or whatever, was picking it up, and then looked back at the screen at the moment that the snake was coming out of the mummy's mouth in the Well of Souls, and he shit himself. He absolutely, because it was like, I mean, there was, so what would I have been in 81? I was 12 in 81. Yeah. So there was some scary stuff in all of the movies, but in that one with faces melting and spoilers, anybody who hasn't seen it, faces caving in and spikes going through people's heads and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, I can remember Will, my mate, absolutely shit himself. It was so funny.
We were on holiday. I always remember being on holiday and it came out and we went. My dad took us to see it, and then as soon as we came back from holiday, I went again with my mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to watch it in the old Swindon cinema there.
Oh, God. The old
times.
days. The old days. Right then, Giles, kick us off with your number 10 Indiana Jones moment.
Well, it's. I don't know if we can have an entire sequence, but it's the entire.
No, that's fine. Yeah,
the entire sequence of Temple of Doom at the beginning, where he's trying to get the antidote, and then she's trying to get the diamond, and there's like ice all over the floor, and they're trying to and they're just scrabbling around. In fact, that whole entire sequence, I think, is just fantastic. From the moment where where she comes out and sings the song, and then they got the whole kind of
anything goes.
Anything goes, of course. Yes, I was trying to
right.
remember what it was, but yeah, anything goes, and then all that whole kind of set piece of that, the choreography of that as the opening sequence, and then going into like the bit where they're exchanging it's the little Buddha, isn't it?
It's Nohachi, isn't it?
Nohachi, that's it.
Nohachi, and he's exchanging it for a diamond.
Yes,
that's it.
Yeah.
So
with David Yip. Wasn't David Yip?
Yes.
He was in it, yeah.
Was
the Chinese detective.
The Chinese detective, yeah. He was Indy's
Mate,
sort
the
of
waiter,
mate
wasn't
of-
he?
Yeah.
Who spoiler alert, gets popped off.
He does.
He does.
But yeah, just the whole
that-
kind of comedy. It mixes up the whole thing. I think that again, I think lots of things we'll probably talk about tonight are very Indiana Jones moments. That
Yes.
combination of action, comedy, thrill, and then the mythology sort of aspects of them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the inventiveness. I mean, that whole bit with the giant gong and he's running behind it. It's so clever.
And I think all these kind of moments are showcase how great a director Steven Spielberg was.
Yes.
And I think
In his prime.
I think for many years, a lot of people think he's underrated. But some of his shot sequences are just fantastic.
Absolutely.
The skewer death as well. The skewer death is gruesome. It really is.
Yeah.
But you're totally right with the mixture of just action and adventure and the little bits of comedy and and I can always remember them saying that when George Lucas and Steven Spielberg first had the idea, George Lucas wanted to started the first movie like he was James Bond, but Steven Spielberg said no, we need to see him in his leather jacket and his. But George Lucas got his wish with this one because he's there with his very nice suit on,
white tux
and stuff. So
also, there's one thing as well that's interesting is that obviously the sequence of years is different. Obviously, this is a year before.
That's right.
That's right.
So there's that kind of like interesting. Oh, okay, this is actually set before. So okay, we're seeing him like in a different, maybe it's a different phase of his life almost. So that's always, I always found that interesting as well. That change of time sequences with it being before, like a prequel.
I mean, I didn't realize when I first watched them. I really didn't. I didn't have a clue. I didn't twig. It was only later on in life when Young Indy came out, I suddenly thought, oh, hang on. Because it didn't really tell you, did it, that it was set before?
I'll tell you what, the making of Temple of Doom, Harrison Ford says that like this is set a year or so before Raiders, and I'm 3 years older now. He said, so I'm 4 years too old for the part. He actually makes a point of, but like you say, I think because it might say at the start,
I think it says 1935, and 36 is Raiders. So,
but you're not really gonna. I mean, I wouldn't remember that it was 36 in Raiders. It would have been 3 years on from that movie. But
you're straight off the bat, you're like, okay, he's going to survive.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a great one to start with. Go on, Neil, you're number 10.
Well, I've got another intro, but it's Raiders of the Lost Ark's intro when you first meet Indy when they're just about to go into the cave.
That's my number 8. That's my number 8.
Very dark. You're not sure who Indy is. I again, like Giles, I've clubbed the whole sequence together because it is just one long action sequence, isn't it? The whole spikes, the spiders on the back. The tunnel going through till they get to the icon at the end, and then the rolling boulder and the escape into the plane. Snakes, I hate snakes. You know, that whole sequence is one of the I genuinely believe one of the greatest openings of all time.
I mean, to be fair, Neil, that is the first 25 minutes of the movie.
But it's a whole sequence. It is.
But you could have like 10, a top 10 moments from that 25 minutes.
I know, but I'm just saying it all leads together. But it is the first introduction of when he whips the guy, doesn't he, and turns around and he's got very shaded and he's got his fedora on, and it's very. He almost seems like a bad guy at the very
and obviously a very young Alfred Molina as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
like who's the sort of. Yeah, who turns out to be a treacherous assistant.
I mean, I'm
the icon.
I'm just idle.
Throw me the idol.
Sorry, I get very anal about those things.
That's all right. That's all right.
But mine's number 8. But mine is just that shot of Indy walking out of the darkness. And like you say, if you've never seen the film before, you think, well, this is a bad dude. The way that the music is ominous, and it is so Spielberg, like coming from out of the shadows. Yeah. He's got that look in his eyes, and you wouldn't. Oh, he's a teacher. That's what he is. He's a he can't be a teacher. But this is what he does on his days off. You know, he's just going to be this badass looking for.
But yeah, it's my point, and it leads straight into one of that whole sequence to me is one of the greatest openings.
Absolutely is. Did you put that in your movie openings? Top 10?
I can't remember. Probably forgot, knowing me. But that's the problem. Keep doing top 10s, isn't it?
Is.
You'll suddenly think, yeah,
it absolutely is.
So it's the opening sequence is my number 3. Actually,
that's your number 3. Okay,
it's quite high up because it's just such, like you say, it's such an iconic kind of moment in film, and the boulder coming down and everything as well. Like, so that, but I think it's got so many elements to it. Like you say, it's got like we've said with the Temple of Doom intro. It's got comedy, it's got adventure, it's got action, it's got intrigue, it's got thrill. The bit where he's trying to move the idol and the weight of the bag and stuff, and then he thinks he's nailed it. And then he obviously,
slowly
so
sinks.
all those kind of things are just like classic Indiana Jones.
But it
And
does
classic
tell you,
Spielberg as well.
it tells you everything you need to know about the character in 20 minutes, and the fact that he's a badass. He knows what he's doing. Stay out of the light. Because they're looking at, what do you mean stay out of the light? Just stay out of the light. So he knows all these things.
He's not a perfect hero, is he? I mean,
no,
not,
absolutely. But then he gets in the cockpit, and you know that he's scared shitless about snakes. He doesn't like. So it's like straight away, he's got weaknesses. So he's just a human. He's just not. He's not a superhero. That's what I love about him as a character. The fact that you hit him and he bleeds. Yeah, and he hurts.
And he can just be a bit crap sometimes.
Yes, he can.
Yeah.
Yes. My number 10, so this one is from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and it is basically the Indy silhouette at the start.
Okay.
Because I think one of the things that Spielberg always said is that the one thing about Indiana Jones is if you see his silhouette with his hat on, you know exactly who it is. And I thought it was a great way to introduce the character that, his hat falls on the floor as he's being bundled out of the boot of the car or the van or whatever, puts his hat on, and you see that silhouette, and it doesn't matter how old Harrison Ford is. I'm kind of hoping the new movie will have that kind of little thing of a silhouette or something, because that shape, that vision is timeless. That shape is Indiana Jones. So I thought I had to put that in there, as much as there's so many bits in Crystal Skull that are...
I mean, it has got some moments.
It's got good moments, but there's so many bits in it that doesn't make any sense.
No, we all know. I mean, I've pretty much disowned the movie, but I do love the bit when he's swinging on his whip and then doesn't make the thing and comes straight back into the windscreen of the Nazi cars.
Yes.
That's perfect comedy and perfect indie moment.
I thought you was going to say Shia LaBeouf swinging with the monkeys then. I thought you was going to say I would have stopped the podcast straight away then.
No, I have no Crystal Skull on here.
Well, that's it. That's Crystal Skull finished with. We can just concentrate on.
We can relax.
Thank God.
Yes. Have you got one, Giles? Have you got a Crystal Skull? That's okay.
No, it's funny. I was just talking to my wife Michelle before we came on, and she said, "I don't think I've even seen that movie." I said, "We have watched it." She's like, "Eradicated it from her brain."
It's just a bad.
I remember
movie.
the bit where he sort of doesn't he go? Is there like a nuclear bomb goes off and he's in a fridge?
Fridge. Yes. That's the only
line.
Come on.
A lead line fridge. Yeah.
I mean, they always did those wonderful Paramount openings, like in the first movie. You see the mountain, but in that one, you knew it was a bit ropey when they had the Gopher Hill.
Yeah,
to me,
that's all it was.
Thought, oh, come on,
come on.
Okay, then, Giles, you're number 9, please.
Chilled monkey brains.
The supper.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's just like a comedy moment, but it's, I always, my friend always like going on about, if you go to a restaurant and have a bad meal, I'm like, chill monkey brains. I love that sequence, the whole sequence where they're just bringing out more and more ghastly edibles.
Yeah.
Or inedibles.
Yeah,
that's my number 7.
That your number 7, okay. Yeah. But the guys that are eating it are absolutely loving it, aren't they? I mean,
the guy opposite is like he's eating
with
all
that
the
beetle.
Bugs.
Yeah,
he absolutely loves it. And then or maybe he could bring us a soup and it's got eyeballs in
That's
it.
That's it. Yeah. Give me a hat. Why? Because I'm going to puke in it.
Puke in it. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a very clever bit when they slice the snake open and all the little ones come out. Very clever how they did that.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the table, you've got this really deep political discussion that's going on. They just sort of, we're just eating monkey brains. It's fine. It's just normal. It's just normal food. Whereas, you've got these kind of juxtapositions again of like the depth that is in these movies, which is like, often like political intrigue or, mythical things that are going on. So I really love that sequence.
And Kate Capshaw as Willie made that such a great thing. The way she reacted was so funny and fantastic.
Yeah. That is a great one. Very good.
Give me your hat.
Yes.
Give me your hat. I'm puking it.
Go on then, Neil. You're number 9.
So my number 9 is the rail cart chase from Temple of Doom, which I believe was originally going to be in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but they couldn't work it out how to fit it in.
That's
wasn't
my number 4.
Oh,
yeah, I like that sequence.
Yeah, it's a great sequence. It really is. I mean, when you watch the makings of it, they talk about it, don't they? How they storyboarded it ready for Raiders of the Lost Ark and couldn't fit it in, so they moved it into that one. But it obviously works a lot better in the situation they're in
and
India.
Then seamless stop motion animation for certain clips and stuff. Dennis Muren and Phil Tippett, and it's like classic Industrial Light and Magic stuff. You know how they go from doing a live. And then the whole bit with Indy where his foot's on fire.
Oh yeah.
water.
Yeah,
just it coming towards him.
Again, great comedic moments.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, the breaks off, doesn't it? And in
that's it.
And, it's really fantastic.
Because I don't know about you guys, but when the movies came out, I used to wait at like whenever it was Christmas time or holidays when they would show like the making of Raiders Lost Ark or the making of Temple of Doom. I think Temple of Doom was I can always remember what was the name of that. Oh God, it was a quiz show. What was the quiz show that Derek Beatty used to do? Mr. and Mrs.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And I can remember recording the making of Temple of Doom on video. Kids, it's a video recorder, and then the announcer, as the credits were going up, said, "And next it's Mr. and Mrs. with Derek Beatty." And I can always remember that was that. Right, let's stop recording now. Let's stop recording. But I used to devour that because it give you all the information about how they made the movie. I mean, now you know how everything's done. You know, it's all CG, and the fact that they built like an actual roller coaster kind of thing for that, and they put the background really close to the track so that it looks like it was going a lot faster than it actually was. Different lighting made it look like different things. It was just one straight. It's just fascinating, but it's all done by thinking how they can solve problems. Where now it's just let's put a few ones and zeros in a computer and boom, it's all done for you. But yeah, it didn't make my top 10 though, that one, for some reason. Never mind. But that's a great one. So that's your number 9. My number 9 is from The Last Crusade, and it's when Indy and Dad are getting chased by a plane, and then they're all on the motorbike and sidecar. And then there's I think it's 3 or 4 of the motorbike and sidecars that come after Indy. And he picks them off one by one. Yeah. And every time he destroys one of these motorbikes and sidecars, he sort of looks at his dad to see if there's a little bit of like approval. And just every time Sean Connery's face is a picture because he's just not impressed at all. And poor old Harrison Ford just looks like a little kid that is just wants a little bit of, wants to impress his dad just once. And it's just that look on Sean Connery's face. And he keeps looking at his watch thinking like, come on, we need to be in Berlin. I think they need to get to, don't they?
That's right, because they stop at the crossroads. It's actually my number 2, Pab.
Oh, is it?
I think it's it's such a well-written sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's... but then there's very, very clever ways of getting rid of all these, using a fence post as a jousting pole, to get rid of a couple of the things. Oh, Neil's gone. But yeah, so... That for me was a great one. It's just the look on Sean Connery's face. He's just such a good actor.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I mean, I think seeing those two acting together as well is just it's a real treat, isn't it? To get those two on screen together.
Yeah, absolutely. So why was it your number 2 then, Neil?
Because, like I was just saying, I love the whole script, the whole writing of that sequence, like you just said, with the father and son, the approval from his father the whole way along. And having to put up with motorbikes spinning next to them, getting shot at, and everything. I just love that whole sequence. I think it's perfectly written and perfectly acted as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that moment.
That's good. I'm glad that's high up in yours then. Okay, Giles, your number 8, please.
Number 8 is it's when the Dr. Joneses meet and hook up when we first sort of get them into, when he's like, Junior.
Right.
So I just think that moment where we sort of see them on screen together for the first time.
It's just,
That's when he thinks that he's broken a priceless Ming vase over Indy's head.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
So just that moment of meeting one another and seeing each other and, just having those two, like I say, just having those two iconic people on screen together.
Yeah, they said they obviously grew a strong bond while filming. They must have, because they do really feel like father and son, don't they? You really feel that closeness, and it doesn't ever feel forced or
No.
If you know what I mean by that. Yeah, I really like those sequences.
Well, also, like I say, but where they've written it in a way that you see Indy's kind of vulnerabilities and stuff, and this, like you say, this desire to be approved of by his father, and following his father's footsteps and all that kind of stuff, which I think is really, they do it really well. But obviously, it's got a lot of a comedic kind of the desperate like desire to be seen as like good at what you do and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's also that moment when he does get smashed over the head, isn't it? He thinks that Henry Jones Sr. is sorry because he's hit him over the head.
Yeah.
And he's not. He's sorry because he thinks he's broken a priceless vase.
Yeah.
So then there's moments when he's thinking, oh, he does care about me, when actually he doesn't. He cares about and then is relieved when he finds out that it's a fake. Okay, then, Neil, you're number 8, please.
So this is when they're plotting how to get to the truck, when they're sat behind the sand. And Indy gets asked, what are we going to do? He said, I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along, which I think is a perfect line and shows Indy's, vulnerabilities and his flaws. I just love that line. It always makes me laugh every time. I know when it's coming. And I just love that whole bit at the beginning when they're trying to work it out, at that bit and... where they eventually go to steal the truck. But yeah, I think that line is genius.
Again, though, it's like we were saying, that is so Indiana Jones. He has been literally making you go, oh yeah, actually, he's never really known what he's doing.
No. Which causes then you get the people that say, take Indiana Jones out of the movie and it has no effect at all, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that is one thing
I don't like that argument because then what would be the point of the movie?
Yeah.
Well, quite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is a good one. I mean, I must admit, when we did our top movie quotes, I think I chose "It's not the years, honey, it's the mileage." But it was either that one or that line that you've got there, because it is, like you say, it's such an Indiana Jones thing to say. There's no bravado. There's no I know exactly what I'm doing. He has no idea what he's doing. He's just going to grab a horse and see what happens. But yeah, great one. My number 8 was the shot of introducing Indy from Raiders of the Lost Ark. So we're back to you, Giles, with your number 7.
Fighting the Nazi pilot in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the big burly.
Oh, Pat Roach.
Oh,
yeah, Pat Roach, of course,
yes.
the wrestler.
Yes.
Was he in Alvida St. Pair as well?
He was, yeah.
So
He was Bomber.
Bomber, he was.
Yeah, from
Bomber.
Bristol.
Yeah, so that great sort of just a punch up, just an old school punch up, which Indy, isn't doing very well in. Quite frankly,
he's losing
I think he
big
knows
time,
that he knows that this is he's going to have to get some luck, and obviously get some luck with a big, large plane.
Yes. Marion trapped inside, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's just, again, it just sums it up, like just being able to sort of wiggle his way out of things at the very last minute. And what another thing about Indiana Jones is that there's lots of kind of sequences that are kind of repeated in the other movies. I mean, we see it again in Temple of Doom. There's a similar fight where he's fighting some big guy that he.
It's Pat Roach again, isn't it?
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
So they like, and I like that there's this little kind of loops that they do with it. We'll probably talk about this scene later, but the sword versus gun duel and how they kind of repeat that again for another joke. So yeah, that's another thing I love about the Indiana Jones movies. They're kind of all the in jokes that are in there.
Yeah,
because he's at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark as well, isn't he? Pat Roach. He's one of the guys that come in with the Nazi
in Marion's
bar. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a total utility man in that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and he was
He's
cut
a
out.
go-to guy.
He was cut out of The Last Crusade. He was the the captain of the air balloon, the airship. But that bit
That's
got
right.
cut out. You only see him for a split second, sort of on the floor when they realise that.
Interesting.
that-
Okay.
Yeah, he was a go-to guy.
But again,
for-
like it's just that sort of I mean, obviously it's a bit gory at the end, doesn't it?
Oh, without a doubt,
splattering
yeah.
across the
so good.
Yeah.
plane and like Marilyn going, So again, as a fight sequence, I really love it.
Yeah.
It is a great one. Actually,
And the
yeah.
pilot of the airplane was Frank Marshall, the producer.
That's right.
Oh, really?
That was Frank Marshall.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Neil, your number 7 was Chilled Monkey Brains.
That's it. The meal.
My number 7 this for me is classic. I was going to say Tarantino, which would have been amazing if it was classic Tarantino because he doesn't know how to do it. Classic Spielberg. This is Tote, the Nazi played by Ronald Lacey, with his coat hanger. So you have Belloc and Marion in the tent out in Dubai, not Dubai, where is it? Cairo. And in he comes with his long leather jacket on, looking like a perfect Nazi henchman. And he brings out what looks like this weapon of torture.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
And the music is ominous, and both Marion and Belloc are both like shitting themselves. And then he turns it around, and it's just a coat hanger for his coat. It's so good. It is so good. And I think that Ronald Lacey is probably the secret star of Raiders
for
of the Lost
sure.
Ark.
Oh, I completely
He is so
agree with
good. He is so good. He's so menacing, but there's so many parts of it where he's just like total comedy with that character, and then he just sits down and goes, "What shall we talk about?" And it's just ominous, absolutely ominous. But yeah, that for me it's just a great moment, and just the way it's shot with the music, John Williams music, you think they're in serious trouble, and they're both scared. But yeah, it's just a total fantastic comedy moment.
Yes.
Okay, Giles, your number 6 then, please.
Short Round driving the car with his little blocks on his feet.
Yeah.
Hey.
Had to have a Short Round moment, but I love that, like Dr. Jones and just
No more parachutes.
Yeah. So I think I had to have a moment with Short Round because he's such a great little character, and just the fact that he's driving the car with his little blocks as the getaway driver. I love that.
And it was lovely to see the picture of the two of them together this year, wasn't it?
So good,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was lovely.
and I absolutely adored Everything Everywhere All at Once. I was really pleased to see him, him have a comeback in that way because
absolutely,
it's a real wonderful kind of Hollywood story, isn't it? Him making that comeback. So and it did make me kind of nostalgic for those Indiana Jones movie.
I'm still kind of thinking. I mean, that there's been sort of spoiler-free reviews of the Dial of Destiny. I was wondering whether or not would they have just given him a little cameo.
Yeah, maybe.
It'd be so nice to see. Just there's not, what would he be called? Not short round, that's long round, normal size round.
Well, he could still be called Short Round.
I suppose he could. But the reviews have not been good to start with, have they?
No, they've been...
I got Empire magazine today, and it got 4 out of 5 in there.
Oh,
they did, but they did
and
give Attack of the Clones 5 stars. So
this is I know, and so
That
and
is
I'm
true.
normally I'll wait for Mark Commode and see what.
yeah. But no, I've been the reviews have not, but it's got not a very good score on Rotten Tomatoes already, has it?
But then again, a lot of people, it's the same with Star Wars. They jump on and you get more clicks by being nasty about something that you do, about being good about something. So I'll go and see it myself and make my own mind up on it, I think. Okay, so that was your number 6, Giles. Great. Neil, your number 6.
So we talked about Indiana Jones comedy moments. Is the finding the tunnel in the library in the Last Crusade. So every time he hits the floor with the big metal pole, the way ladies stamping the books. I think it's so clever, that bit.
Yes.
And so funny. But yeah, that whole sequence I thought was just geniusly clever.
X
Very
marks the
funny.
spot.
That's the one.
Yeah, very
Into
good.
the rats they go. But yeah, just that timing was perfect. And the every time the lady stamps the book, she...
Yeah, it was an old guy, wasn't it, with a big tash.
Oh, well, that's right.
Yeah,
it was the old guy, wasn't it? Not the lady.
Looked a bit like Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like every time he... And then he ended up just putting the stamp down, didn't
That's
he?
right.
Because he didn't know quite what to do with it.
Yeah.
Just to let all our Patreon know, obviously we'll put all the clips that I can find of what we're talking about on the video playlist. And if I can find, I'm pretty sure the making ofs are on YouTube, so I'll pop them on the video playlist.
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
they're good to watch.
And that's a good one. Okay, so my number 6. Now this one, again, there's nothing works better in comedy than a quick cut, like a quick cut to. And it's from The Last Crusade when, now I can't remember, what's the name of the guy that's the bad guy? What's his name? Oh, God.
Yeah, I can't remember now.
I can't remember what the guy's name is, but he's saying, we need to we've got the Grail diary, but pages have been ripped out. So we need to find Marcus Brody. And Indy says, well, look, he's got a 2-day head start. He knows 12 different languages. He can blend in, with any luck, he's got the Grail already. And then you cut to Marcus Brody walking down the track going, hello, does anybody speak English? Someone offers him water. No, sorry, his fish make love in it. He's just a complete, literal fish out of water. It's such a great cut too, because that just makes it so much funnier. And I think Denholm Elliott he seems to be playing everything for comedy in that movie. Yeah. Whereas he's quite stoic and he's the straight man in
Raiders,
in number 2, but in Raiders he's the man, giving Indy a lot of knowledge about, you have to be careful where you go and all that. This one, everything he does, it's almost like he's pissed all the way through it.
He probably was. He probably was. Probably.
He looks like he's having loads of fun, and that is just a great, great moment where
because it's the bit at the end, isn't it, when they ride off into the sunset? Follow me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Got lost in his own museum. Yeah. Oh, so good. Right. So we're halfway through. So with being halfway through, we haven't done this with you yet, Charles, have we?
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Pop quiz, hot shot. So here we go. It's first 1 to 3, and they'll all be about Indiana Jones. Some of the answers we may have already spoken about. Okay, Giles, you're the guest. Would you like to go first, or would you like to go second?
I'll go first.
Okay. Let's have a bit of backing music, isn't it? Okay.
Like it.
In Raiders, which is the first destination we visit after we see Indy's plane map for the first time?
Is it Nepal?
It is Nepal. Well done. Or should I? Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, well done. Well done. It is Nepal. So that's 1 to you. Neil, your question.
Okey-dokey.
What is the name of the nightclub where the opening of Temple of Doom takes place?
Obi-Wan. It was one of my facts. There we are.
1 out of 1. Giles, which actor had numerous roles in the first 3 Indy movies, including the giant bald Nazi Indy fistfights in Egypt?
It's not Bomber from... It's not Pat Roach, is it?
It is Pat Roach. No, I'm just going to read them as I do them, so, that's just how it is. Yeah. Neil, which Indy MacGuffin belonged in a museum, according to Indy?
That's the Ark of the Covenant, isn't it?
It's not. No. Where's the...
Oh, no, it's the Ark.
It's not. Oh, no. So, Giles, for your chance, actually, you can win it with this one if you get it right.
Oh, God, the pressure's on. Well, can you repeat the question?
I can. Which Indy MacGuffin belonged in a museum, according to Indy?
Was it the idol? No. What?
It wasn't, no.
Because he say to him, you belong in a museum.
No, it was the Cross of Coronado from the start of the Last Crusade, when he was River Phoenix. He says to the man, this belongs in a museum. Okay, Neil, for you. What was the name of the cult led by Mola Ram?
Oh, no. No, I can't remember.
No?
No, I can't remember.
Have I got to give you a sad trombone?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
Okay, Giles, it's over to you to win.
As soon as you say it.
The Kalimar. Is it the Kalimar?
No, it's the Thuggee.
Thuggee!
The Thuggee.
What's the Kalimar then? Is that the leader?
I think Kalimar was the god, wasn't it? I think.
Is that not what he's saying when he's ripping?
Oh, it might be, yeah.
Kalimar.
Yeah.
What's your chest?
Mother on, shudder on.
Doom, doom. Okay then. So is it back to you, Giles, or back to you, Neil?
I don't know.
See,
it's Giles now.
It's Giles.
That was mine because I said I didn't know.
Yeah. So Giles, for your chance to win, where did Henry Jones Jr. get his name Indiana from?
A dog.
A specific dog? What can you tell me?
The family dog?
Yes, it is. Well done. I mean, not as in, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yes. I had a couple more. So what was Indy's son's first name?
Oh,
Yeah, you see, I blocked that film out.
Yeah,
that's right, I blocked it out.
It was Mutt.
Oh, that's
How many
Terrible
Sankara
name.
stones does Indy steal from Mola Ram in the Temple of Doom?
3, isn't it?
It is 3. And which infamous historical
There
figure
was 5
signed...
stones in the beginning.
Yes.
there was.
Which infamous historical figure signed Indy's Grail diary?
Hitler.
It was Hitler.
And that
well
was
done, Giles.
that was Mr. Bronson.
It was
It was
Mr.
Mr.
Bronson.
Bronson.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Michael Sherd, wasn't it? Sherd
That's
or
right.
something? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, well done. So there you go. Well done, Giles.
Well done,
Congratulations.
Giles.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that.
That
Well
modern
done.
judgment.
Very good. Okay.
Got lucky with the Pat Roach question.
I mean, to be fair, I was listening to Neil's facts and I thought, oh shit, he's done it again. Right then, Giles, you're number 5 then, please.
Number 5 is the collapsing of the bridge in Temple of Doom, where it's very tense. They're like the Indy's in the middle of this big long rope bridge. He's got the stones, the Inkara stones, and then the troops are kind of merging in on him, and he sort of threatens to throw them over the side. And then he says something to Short Round in
Chao Chi, Lao
Chao
Su
Chi.
Sang Sai.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
It's
knew
always
you'd
stuck
probably
with
know
me
it.
that. I don't know why. It's crazy.
and then he cuts the bridge, and obviously it all collapses and stuff. And yeah, just the tension of it really, and the
Yeah.
fact that is he actually going to do that? You know?
Yeah. And he has that little that smirk on his face,
Yeah.
doesn't he? It's the fact that I don't know whether it's sort of pulpy and camp or whatever, but she says he's crazy, and Shorty goes, no, he's nuts. Oh, he no nuts. He crazy.
That's it.
And he has that little glint in his eye, that little look, because he got to make sure they got.
And also, Indiana just literally wraps his leg around the bit
Yes.
of twine.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
it.
you know, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Indy.
Hold on, lady. We going for a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, great one. Go on then, Neil. You're number 5.
So it's it's Temple of Doom again. It's the entrance to the tunnel where we find the sacrificial altar. So when he's in her room, I'm right here, and he's trying to find the statue and everything.
Oh,
and pushes
yeah.
it through, and then we got the bugs into the tunnel of bugs, haven't we? I find that whole moment quite funny. I'm here waiting for you. I'm
Yes.
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
It's-
because the bit he pushes in is like
Is the-
a woman, isn't it?
That's
He's got
it,
his
the
hands
boobs.
on her boobs. And then
pushes
she's
it,
going, I'm right here. And then it just
Yeah.
disappears. Disappears
it.
through the wall. Yeah. Yeah. That's
And then I suppose it leads into that great moment as well with the insects. You know, we've got the snake sequence, but with insects. That's what I always thought of. It's what you want from a bit of indie, isn't it? Scary animals as
Yeah,
well.
creepy crawl is always a
yes.
staple part of the indie.
Yeah. There's a great bit in the making of where Steven Spielberg, who of course married Kate Capshaw,
Yeah.
is trying to tell her about all the creepy crawlers that just put your hand in there, it'll be fine, don't worry. I don't want to do it.
That's it.
But it was all real, and obviously all real creepy crawlers and God knows what kind of
Crunching.
yeah, crunching indeed. Okay, my number 5 is another Henry Jones Jr. and Henry Sr. moment. This is when they are being chased by the plane. And another one of those amazing quick cuts that goes to a joke is, I don't know, I got to try and remember the sequence now. I think the first plane goes through the tunnel and then explodes. And the car rushes through the flames, and Henry Jones says to Indy, well, it doesn't get any closer than that. Quick cut to a bomb being dropped just in front of the car, and then the all explodes, and then the smoke clears, and you just sort of see Henry Jones just sort of like looking out, and then they go and rush off. And then it's that thing where he says, oh, they're trying to kill us. And he goes, yeah, happens to me all the time kind of thing. But just that again, the quick cut. I love a quick cut in comedy. There's nothing better than just a quick cut, and it don't go any closer than that. Boom. Okay, so let me see now. What was that at number 4? Oh, the rail cart chase was your number 4, Giles.
Yeah, that was my number.
So, Neil, what's your number 4?
So Giles has sort of alluded to it earlier on. It's the opening to Crusade with the young Indiana Jones, but it's the train sequence when they're on the train where
right.
he keeps going into each bit. So you work out how he gets his fear of snakes. You find out how he gets the scar on his chin and why he uses the bullwhip. I mean, the 3 most iconic things probably of Indiana Jones. So yeah, I love it. And
he gets his
he
hat.
does,
as well.
of course, he gets the hat. And I just think River Phoenix played that so well. I mean, I do miss River Phoenix because he was a great actor, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
He really was. But yeah, I think that was perfect, and they couldn't have done it better. Because watching the series later on, I didn't watch it when it was first aired, the Young Indiana Jones series. I don't really like it very much. Have you seen any of them?
I haven't.
No, they're back on Disney Plus now, aren't they?
Apparently. Are they?
Apparently,
I might give them another go, but I found. I mean, you had Harrison Ford in one of the episodes recording.
The very first one, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's got the big beard, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But I just found them all dull. But that is how it should have been made. The TV series should have spun off of the opening of The Last Crusade and worked it out from there. But brilliant. The whole sequence is brilliant. The lion, yeah.
Very good. Very good. I'd forgotten about that one, to be honest. Yeah, I feel that should have been in my top 10.
Well, we're all gonna have loads of these because I've certainly heard some of you guys and gone, oh.
Indeed. Okay, so my number 4. This again is just one shot on its own. So it's the Temple of Doom, and Indy has been through drinking the blood of Kali and has come back, and he's now going to not only get the Sankara stones but save all the children. And it's one of the mine carts, the light in the mine cart sort of rolls along, and there's Indy just stood there with the light behind him and the light in front, and it is just what a fantastic shot. And then you just see, I think, his point of view, and one of the thuggy guards just go flying where he's punched him.
Doesn't the guard go first and then you see the silhouette and then you know he's there? I'm pretty sure.
No, I think I think that's the end, because he goes and gets the stones, and I think Willie says to him, "Come on, let's get out of here." And he turns around and goes, "Yeah, all of us." Yeah. And then it's showing like all the kids being whipped or something like that. And I don't know. I'll have to double check it again. But it's just that shot. The shot of him in the light, and the look on his face is like, no one's going to mess with me. I'm going to.
Do you remember when it came out? The last, Temple of Doom, and they used to do these like fold out sort of making ofs with pictures of the movies and everything like that, and then you'd open it out and have the huge poster, wouldn't you? At the end? That was on the cover. That picture of him in the silhouette and the red.
Really?
That was the cover of that.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'll have to look for that. I used to have the big, massive Temple of Doom poster, but we didn't have anything on the back. It was just the poster. But
yeah, it was those fold-up ones. I got a few. I got a Star Wars. I had a Star Wars one out there. Gone now, been eaten probably by mice somewhere.
Eaten? Did you say?
Yeah, put in the loft, didn't it? I've just found a load of stuff, and
it's all been eaten by your son. I thought you said.
No mice.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that was my number 4. Giles, your number 3 was Raiders of the Lost Ark opening.
Yeah.
So back to you, Neil, for your number 3.
So we talk about classic moments of Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's the chase in the market, and ending with the swordsman, his improvised shooting of the swordsman. I know it's been mimicked, it's been done, but obviously that was the original time we saw it. It's the OG of that sort of action, and the whole cinema erupted. I always remember it of laughing. And to be honest, I mean, watching Raiders of the Lost Ark for the cinema was the first time I'd ever heard in the UK people whooping and hollering and cheering when he did things, and especially that bit. There was a lot of cheering and laughter to it, and it is great and a famous story, isn't it? Why they did
that is my number 1 actually, but I think just because of the fact that he had the shits, and it's like, well, we're gonna have to do it a different way because I can't be having a massive sword fight or whatever.
As we're going to talk about now, that is actually my number 1 as well. It is. I mean, just again, specifically the shooting of the swordsman is because it shows you that he is just a stone cold killer. He doesn't care. He will just shoot someone in broad daylight in front of hundreds of people in a foreign country. He doesn't care. He's just going to, because he doesn't want to shoot himself.
And it's obviously Temple of Doom where they go to do it again, don't they?
And he's got his gun's not there.
Yeah, and he hasn't got his gun that time. Yeah.
But that was before that happened.
Yeah.
So that's the weird thing.
In theory,
maybe that's something he always does. If he's surrounded by people, he just shoots them. But he forgot he didn't have his gun.
Back in the day.
That's
Back in the day.
It's like Game of Thrones law, isn't it? You can just kill people just for the sake of killing people.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yes, indeed. So my number 3, one of the greatest stunts I've ever seen, is the moment in The Last Crusade when Indy, or Vic Armstrong, jumps from the horse onto the tank.
Oh, yeah.
And that whole scene, the whole tank scene, but specifically, I can remember, I think that was in the trailer, if I'm not mistaken. Every time I look at it now and think he must have been on wires, or nowadays it would have been wires and blue screen and Vic Armstrong, what an amazing stuntman to start with. But that, just doing that, it was just amazing because it wasn't like it cut, he wasn't jumping onto a pad. It looks like he just jumps onto the tank, and it's just one of those breathtaking moments that I know that Harrison Ford was renowned for, like, always wanting to do pretty much every stunt that he could. But that one, I know that he left for Vic Armstrong to do, and quite wisely, I think. But that for me is a wow moment.
But that whole sequence is great if you watch the making of, because it's the problem where his fedora kept coming off, wasn't it? And he jokingly staples it to his head.
That's right. Yeah. Such good stuff. Go on, the Giles, you're number 2.
Face melting Nazis.
Aren't they headlining Glastonbury?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. The new indie rock band. No, just because it's so gruesome, and like you don't expect that in essentially I think it was a PG at the time.
It was a PG, yeah.
So and just, I mean, obviously there's a slight comedy value to it as well. But you just, again, the power of the arc being opened up and actually eradicating all the evil people in the scene. And it's obviously it was quite full on scene as a kid, like seeing melting faces.
It really was, because if you think about it now, they wouldn't do it now in a PG, or not that you get a PG in.
Would it? Wouldn't be suggested, or it would be done in a different kind of way, I don't think. But it was, they properly like kind of gooed it up and everything.
They really did, yeah.
But the other thing is, there's stuff worse than that on normal TV these days.
Yeah, true.
Isn't there? With Walking Dead and The Last of Us and Game of Thrones.
But they are certificated after the 9 p.m. watershed, whereas
I suppose
Indy was aimed at kids. It was aimed at kids, wasn't it? It really was.
Yeah. I think it was probably slightly older than, say, your Star Wars.
Yeah,
wasn't it? It had a few little like bad language and a little bit of sexy.
Well, like you said, the cold-blooded killing and stuff. A little bit more PG, isn't it? It's a bit of it'd probably be a 12 these days.
Oh, easily be a 12.
They'd probably slip in a couple of swear words and make it a 12.
Yeah. Because that was the thing that with, I said we we're going to talk about it, but the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, there was no blood in that. A lot of people got killed or whatever. You never saw any blood. There was no...
Just the ant bit, wasn't it? Was a bit gruesome.
Yeah,
even though it was CGI awful.
Even then, CGI awful, and it was only a split second, and then he was completely devoured, and you didn't see anything. It wasn't like someone getting their heart ripped out of their chest like Temple of Doom.
Although they did cut that in the UK cinema, didn't they?
Yes, but if you want to see the actual version, it's on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, and it is grim.
It is really grim. See his hand just go completely into his chest. Yeah, but that's a good one. Face melting Nazis. Yeah. You must have seen that when you saw Roger Waters last week, Neil. Surely.
Oh no, they were cancelled.
I just wondered. I've been reading the news. I just wondered whether he's up to his old tricks again.
Oh no, he spoke a lot about it. Yeah,
I bet he did. Okay, so Neil, your number 2 was like unimpressed Henry Jones.
Yeah, the whole sequence, the interaction between the two of them is just brilliant. Yeah,
excellent. My number 2 is when Henry thinks that Indy's died. When Indy's gone over the top with the tank.
Moment, to be fair,
yeah. And just the look on their face, and I didn't have a chance to tell him. I didn't have enough time. And then even Indy's looking over, like just completely knackered, looking over and wondering what they're all looking at. And then just for a split second, the paternal sort of feelings come out, gives him a hug. Then he realizes, he sort of checks himself and realizes, and sort of taps him on the back and says, "Well done." So come on, let's go. And then just a beautiful button on the end of the scene as Indy sort of falls down and his hat just rolls back into view. So he still never loses his hat, which is a great little moment. Ah, that's a good one. Okay,
That is a good one.
right then. Before we, Giles and I have already told you what our number ones are.
Well, we can
but-
talk about it again.
Yeah, but let's just count down our 10 to 2. Giles, if you do that, Neil will do it, then I'll do it, and then we'll have a little chat about our number ones, which sounds dirtier than it should be.
Right. So Temple of Doom opening sequence was my number 10. Chilled Monkey Brains, Dr. Jones's meeting, fighting Pat Roach, Short Round driving the car, the bridge collapse or the bridge smashing, opening sequence. Minecart chase, then opening sequence, melting Nazis, and the sword versus gun duel.
Okay, go on then, Neil.
Face melting Nazis is never not funny to say.
So at number 10, I had Indy's intro from the Raiders of the Lost Ark. 9, the rail cart chase. Number 8, I don't know, I'm making this up as I go along. Number 7, the meal, Monkey Brains. Number 6, the tunnel in the library with the librarian. Number 5, the entrance to the tunnels to the sacrifice altar in Doom. Number 4, the opening to Crusade, Young Indy. Number 3, the chase in the market and Swordsman. Number 2, Indian Dad on the bike and sidecar.
That's it. And mine is number 10 was the Indy silhouette from Crystal Skull. 9, an impressed dad in The Last Crusade. Number 8, the introducing Indy shot from Raiders. 7, Tote's coat hanger from Raiders. 6, Brody abroad in The Last Crusade. 5, don't get any closer than that from The Last Crusade. 4, Indy in the light, Temple of Doom. 3, the car versus horse chase and the jump over to the tank from Raiders. And number 2, Henry thinks Indy dies in The Last Crusade. So, Giles, you've already said what your number 1 is. Have you ever seen the footage? Because that's my number 1 as well, shooting the swordsman from Raiders. Have you ever seen the footage of the fight that they actually shot?
I might have, but I can't off the top of my head think of how it goes.
Yeah, because
I have seen lots of like behind the scenes stuff in those movies.
Because Indy fought him with his whip, and there's moments when they're fighting over, I think fighting around where there's fruit, a bit like the original fight that they do earlier on. But yeah, it's weird how sort of moments like that in cinema history happen totally. I mean, if he hadn't had the shits, they'd have had like a boring whip versus sword.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been the same. It's just an iconic piece of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through chance, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go on then, Neil. What's your number 1?
So it's the Well of Souls escape. That whole bit when he rocks the to get out of the Well of Souls and the snakes. When he rocks, and again, watching the making of, you know that this went wrong, but they kept it in how it went wrong. Pushing the big statue through the wall, the whole bit. It's quite terrifying as a kid, wasn't it? That whole bit with the sequence of the skeletons and the snakes crawling out their mouth. But yeah, I think it's watching the making of that, realizing how dangerous a stunt. Again, they put their life on the line, and it went wrong. They went through the wall, wasn't it? Properly through. But it looks amazing on screen.
Yeah.
The fact that they built that giant, whatever it is, it just looks superb. And the whole Well of Souls sequence is great with the snakes and everything. Asps. Why did it have to be asps?
Yeah.
And they never had enough snakes as well. They only had like 3,000 snakes, and so Spielberg asked for another 7,000 snakes.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
they got every pet shop in London, and apparently where was it? I can't remember. Somewhere else abroad. They just got slithered in all these snakes, and there's a hidden C-3PO and R2-D2.
There is on the hieroglyphics, isn't
on the
it?
hieroglyphics. Yeah.
But the if you notice now that they've remastered it or watched it again, when you see the bit when he falls in front of the Cobra and it's there in front of him, you can actually see the glass now.
Well, they've now apparently the latest versions they've digitally got rid of that glass as well.
Good,
because that was always the thing that got me. I thought, oh my god, he's so brave, and I thought, oh no, put a sheet of glass in front.
Yeah,
Jesus. But yeah,
it's a great working thing.
Yeah, they've apparently digitally got rid of that as well.
Oh, good. I've not watched it on Disney Plus. I must give it.
Have you not?
It's
well worth it. Right, we've got a few honourable mentions. So at Fiona Robbins said, where do I begin? I have tried and failed to find a fave moment. Okay, here goes. Raiders of the Lost Ark, the beginning when he's running away while being pursued by angry natives blowing poison darts at him. At Andy McEwen, one said no ticket from the last Crusade.
Oh yeah.
When I can't remember the name of the Nazi. His face isn't melting, but he chucks the Nazi out of the airplane, the air balloon, isn't it?
The Zeppelin, isn't it?
The Zeppelin.
Yes.
And then everyone's all looking at him, all the well-to-do guests, and he's going, no ticket. So they all grab their tickets and they're waving their tickets out. And Kit Torpin said, true moments and not scenes. These movies are full of them, so this is hard. The fade in of the Paramount Mountain onto the mountain where we first meet Indy. The German uniform he takes off a soldier and it doesn't fit. That's a great one.
Yeah.
That is so good. Indy was the dog, and the student with "I love you" on her eyelids.
Oh, yeah.
Of
Indy's
course, I
reaction.
forgot about that.
That's a great moment.
That is a great one because
yeah.
that's the difference. The juxtaposition of Indy in Raiders and being all flustered and not being able to carry on, and then they do the same sort of scene at the start of The Last Crusade, I think. And he's talking about fact and about X never ever marks the spot. And you can see he's sort of flirting with the girls in his pupils, whereas before he was very flustered all the time. That's a great one. I completely forgot about that one.
I completely forgot that one.
And Henry Sr. scaring the birds with his umbrella.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That was another good
Making
one.
the
just to
plane
name
crash,
a few.
yeah.
There you go. So thank you very much for that. That's it. We've done it. So Giles,
Well, that seemed quicker, didn't it?
yes, tell us about what have you got going on? You've always got something going on. You're always writing something. So what have you got going on? Tell us.
I'm not writing much at the moment. Actually, I'm just starting another podcast. You know, you never have too many podcasts.
Absolutely, you don't have to
So
tell
I'm
us
doing
about that.
Yeah. So I'm doing a podcast with my great friend Sophie Green, who's a conservation artist. You might have seen her work around, but yeah, she does amazing photographic, realistic, big cats and primates and all sorts of things. Anyway, both of us are really quite into self-development and well-being and stuff. So the podcast is kind of about that, and it's called Unquestionable. And yeah, we have sort of deep dive conversations with people about the unquestionable truths of human nature and psychology and relationships and all sorts of things. So yeah, so that starts in June. We've recorded a whole bunch of episodes. So it's going to be video as well. So there's some studio stuff. So yeah, we're going to, which is a bit of a departure for me. I don't normally like to see my face and stuff. So yeah, so that's been really fun to make because we're great mates. So it's just been fun to do that together. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been working on the last few months.
But have you still got another book that you're looking to get like the funding for?
Oh yeah, so Gigantium, which is like the third. It's probably going to be the last book I do with Unbound. It's another verse novel, but this one's kind of dystopian sci-fi, but again written in verse. Yeah, so it's kind of our planet has been kind of invaded by this sort of alien race who have kind of taken all the commodities of electric and everything out, and it's a bit of a barren wasteland, and there's sort of little communities of people that are trying to kind of eke out a normal life. And the focus is kind of on this horticulturalist and his son who are continually trying to grow, vegetables and plants and stuff. So the focus is on that, and there's a sort of civil unrest background to it. And yeah, it's kind of three separate stories that interlink with one another,
right,
across the book. So yeah, it's a little bit different and a bit weird, but then kind of stuff I do.
There you go. Well, we'll put the link in the show notes for that.
Yeah.
And so when is your podcast out?
It'll be coming out in June. So yeah.
Okay.
But you can follow us on Twitter, and it's Unquestionable Pod on Instagram, Unquestioned Pod on Twitter. You can come and find us and see a bit about when the episodes start dropping. And we've had some great people like Robin Ince, David Baddiel. We've got John Monson coming on. So yeah, a bunch of really cool dudes, and some great people like I had a nutritionist called Pauline Cox on. We've had Rosie Jones, the comedian. So yeah, loads of cool people like talking about self-development.
Excellent. Well, I'll put the links to the Instagram and the Twitter on the show notes as well.
And will it be on all the pod
places
platforms?
and YouTube?
There's
this thing called YouTube, apparently. That
Yes.
Go.
It's something the kids use, I think. But yeah, there might even be. There's this other thing called TikTok. I think there might be some stuff going on there.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Okay, so before we say our goodbyes and before Neil gives us all the details of how you can get in touch with us, we'd like to say hello and thank you to Erin Peterson, our latest Patreon top head.
Oh,
hello,
thank you,
Erin. Thank you very much for supporting the podcast. God bless you. You literally keep the lights on. So thank you so much. If you want to become a top head or if you want to get in touch with us, Neil, tell everybody how they can get in touch with us and all that gubbins.
Well, you can get in touch with us on multiple ways. You can email us at top10pods@hotmail.com. You can find us on all the social medias at top10pods. You can come and give us a click, give us a like, and ask us anything. And then, like Pav's just said, you can come and help support the podcast at patreon.com/top10pods. So many rewards to choose from. Come join the club and we thank you immensely if you do. Check out all of our links via the link tree. You can find the link in the show notes, and please do come and subscribe and leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcast from.
There you go. To the dulcet tones of John Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, that was top 10 Indiana Jones moments. It's always lovely to talk to you, Giles.
Oh, thank you guys. No, I appreciate you asking me to come on and talk about Indiana Jones.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Good luck with the podcast. Good luck with everything else you got going, mate. Neil, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Pav. Thank you very much, Giles. Always a pleasure
Neil.
to see you.
Lovely to see you guys.
Always a pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching and listening. And go start the countdown.